Forgive me.
Lord, please forgive my sins. No matter how much trouble I get in, would you promise to forgive me if I never do it again? Lord, please forgive me. Lord, please bless me and always protect me. Deliver me from all of this evil spirits trying to get me. Lord, please forgive my sins. No matter how much trouble I get in, would you promise to forgive me if I never do it again? Lord, please forgive me.
Can I testify? Because we come to church all the time and we hear preachers preach, and a lot of times we leave out because we don't see the manifestation of the miracles. But something happened to us 86 days ago. Come on. And if I can, I'd like to share it.
What is up, Straight Talk Society? Excuse me. This is your host, Trevor, and I am back with another episode of the Straight Talk Sessions. This is the Biblical Debate Series, and tonight we have a debate that I've been waiting on for a long time. Shout out to the best moderator in the business, Keela, already letting me know that I sound so great and clear. Man, I am so happy to have her back. Shout out to Patricia. Shout out to Michelle. Shout out to Jackie. Shout out to Brother Liggins. Shout out to Adrian Cutler. Those of you watching in the clouds, please make sure and hit the like, share, and subscribe button when you come in the building. I do have both debaters already waiting in the back, chomping at the bit. So let me answer the question that Patricia asked. It's a double header because this debate was supposed to be a trilogy debate. They were going to debate 3 topics, but as always, life happens. So the third debate got canceled because Eddie he doesn't believe in that. So Eddie is not going to debate something that he doesn't believe. Greetings, MHW. Welcome to the Straight Talk Society. I know you were at the last debate, but greetings anyway. Shout out to Duran in the building. They canceled the third debate, which is fine because I don't want anybody debating just for the sake of debating. And then they were supposed to do the first topic last week, but like I said, life happened. So then they both decided, hey, let's just combine both topics together, and henceforward why I called it a double header. So Stacey Mobley is willing for anybody to come after him, but that's not the case. It's just that they didn't want to prolong things anymore, so they combined both debates. And speaking of debates, the topic of tonight's debate is Do the curses of Deuteronomy 28 apply to us today? And then the second topic is Deuteronomy 28 and 68 a fulfillment of the transatlantic slave trade? So just by that topic alone, you know that you are in for a banger tonight. Hey, I'm going to get out of the way. So let me just give you the format of this because it is two topics that they're debating in one. This is the format. There is going to be a 30-minute presentation round. Yes, you heard me. Brother Stacey will go first. He will do his 30-minute presentation, getting whatever he can get in his 30-minute time period. And then Eddie Israel will have a 10-minute rebuttal period. 10-minute max. He doesn't have to use the whole 10 minutes if he doesn't want to. You don't have to use all your time if you don't want to. Then Eddie Israel will get his 30-minute presentation round where Stacey will then have a 10-minute rebuttal, and then they will go into the 20-minute Q&A. If you have a question for any of the debaters, this is very important. If you have a specific question pertaining to the debate topics, please put the first letter of their name before your question, and I will save it, and I will ask them at the end of the debate. So if you have a question for Stacey, put an S before. You have a question for Eddie, put an E before it, and I will save it for the end of the debate. Simple as that. I will not ask them any statements or anything if I don't know who it's for. So just as simple as that. You guys sit back. We are going to have a fantastic debate, man. I have been waiting for this piece, Blood of Judah. I have been waiting for this. And one last thing. This is the final debate of the year, but it is not the final debate over here on Straight Talk Society, regardless of what people may want to think. But what we are doing next week, I got it finalized this week. You guys know I do these interviews. I did an interview with Reginald Young. I did an interview with Stacey Mobley. Well, next week, I have the interview that I've been wanting to do for a long time. Next Thursday, right here on the Straight Talk Society at 6 p.m., I will be interviewing none other than the man, Peter Cox. That's right. Peter Cox is coming to the Straight Talk Society to sit on my hot seat, and I am going to question him about various things that I've heard him say around YouTube. And I just want to get to know who this man is, Peter Cox. Who's this debating machine? Who's this guy that goes around and challenges every preacher on the internet? I want to get to the bottom of who Peter Cox is. So you guys tune into that. That will be next Thursday, December 21st. At 6 p.m. You don't want to miss that, but you guys didn't come to hear me talk all day. So let me bring the debaters up on the stage. What's going on, Stacey? Unmute yourself.
Hello, everybody. How you doing, Trevor? How you doing, Eddie? Good to be here tonight.
Oh, man, it's good. What's going on, Eddie?
Peace.
All right.
Peace.
So
how y'all doing? How everybody in the chat doing tonight?
We're good.
I'm glad.
We're good.
Sorry. I'm glad to be here. Sorry.
Eddie, I'm hearing a little clicking when you talk. I don't know what that is, but I've been waiting for this a lot, and everybody, like I said, I've gotten messages. People have told me what they thought. Don't go by past debates and think that you know what it's going to be. Eddie Israel is a smart young man that I admire a lot, and he is going to bring some information that's going to make you scratch your head. So Stacey does have an uphill climb tonight, so don't just think that this is just going to be a easy wash. That's not going to be it. But the thing I love about these two debaters, they don't care who wins or loses. I'm still going to put the poll up just because that's what I do. But these guys don't care who win or lose. They literally want people to get the information, and then you make your decision off of that. So with all that being said, Eddie, I'm going to put you in the back.
All righty.
Stacey, we're going to bring your presentation up. So Stacey, do you want it to show? Do you want to be on the camera while it's going, or do you want just the presentation?
Just the presentation is fine.
Just the presentation. All right. Let me go ahead and make that big. I am going to. Oh, you know what though? Let me see something. Yeah, if I do it that way, then you know what? You won't be able to see the clock. Let me see.
You can just let me know when it's 5 minutes. That's fine.
Okay, you won't be able to see the clock. So, okay. All right. So I have to do it. I have to do it on my own. Wait, let me see something. Let me see. Okay, the clock still takes it down. All right, that's fine. I'll keep the time on my phone. That's fine. So your presentation is up. I am going to move myself to the back, and your time will begin when you start talking.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to hopefully a great, healthy discussion tonight. I've been looking forward to this debate for some time. I appreciate Eddie's willingness to put forth his convictions. And I want him to know that this isn't personal, but I do want him to take it personally. I want every Hebrew Israelite to take it personally. And I identify you as Hebrew Israelite respectfully, even though I am against the doctrine that is taught. So let's get with this right now. This debate is over before it starts. Why? The proposition entails the false premise that we are Black people. Black people are not Jews. This is a presupposition and an assumption of the core doctrine of Hebrew Israelites. It has never been proven and cannot be proven. It is actually false. You can no more steal the identity of a people by claiming Jew descent than I can call myself Michael Jordan by putting on a Chicago Bulls uniform wearing number 23. Here's what all who claim Hebrew Israelite descent fail to understand. If Black people were Jews, and they are not, still everything in the New Testament regarding the cancellation, termination of the law of Moses, those are your scriptures, we can go to those as we need to, applies to them as to everyone else. Everything in the New Testament about obligations and promises applies to them too. Number 3, they are in the same position as anyone else, any other ethnic group, amenable to the gospel of Christ, Galatians 3:28. If they, Black Jews, obey the gospel, every promise attached to that obedience applies to them. They are not an exception to amenability to the gospel. Let's look at some true-false questions real quick. If Black people are Jews, true, false, before Jesus died on the cross, they were amenable to the law of Moses. I'll have to bring these up perhaps in our question and answer session later. Number 2, true, false, the law of Moses was given to Black people. Number 3, there's biblical proof that the Black race are a part of the Jewish race. Number 4, there's non-biblical proof that the Black race are a part of the Jewish race. Number 5, if there is neither biblical nor non-biblical proof that Black people are a part of the Jewish race, there is no such proof. Number 6, the Old Testament makes a clear distinction between Jews and non-Jews. Here's my argument. If the descendants of Ham through Canaan were to be servants to the descendants of Shem and Japheth, then the descendants of Ham through Canaan were ethnically distinguishable from the descendants of Shem and Japheth. Number 2, the descendants of Ham through Canaan were to be servants to the descendants of Shem and Japheth, Genesis 9:24-27. Then the descendants of Ham through Canaan were ethnically distinguishable from the descendants of Shem and Japheth. Since Ham had other children other than Canaan, Cush, Mizraim, and Phut, argument. If Moses made a distinction between the descendants of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and if the Jews descended from Shem, and if the Black race descended from Ham, then the Jews are distinguishable as a race from the Black race. Number 2, Moses made a distinction between the descendants of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. There's your scriptures. And the Jews descended from Shem, Genesis 10, and the Black race descended from Ham, Genesis 10. Now, I have a presentation that Trevor is going to allow me to bring that's more thorough about this whole thing, but this should suffice for now. Number 3. Then the Jews are distinguishable as a race from the black race. Here are the raw facts about being a Jew, black or any ethnicity. Being a Jew, physical lineage today is absolutely irrelevant to God. He was in the world, and the world was made through him, and the world did not know him. He came to his own, the Jews, and his own, the Jews, did not receive him. But as many as received him, to them he gave the right to become children of God. To those who believe in his name, who were born, watch this, not of blood. That one verse destroys Hebrew Israelitism, because it is telling us that it has nothing to do with physical lineage anymore. Being born again, not of blood. So those who try to hold on and maintain Jewish lineage, if they are such a Jew, this verse destroys the very fact that there's any significance in being a physical Jew. He says, not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. Now, I'm going to come back. I'm going to ask my beloved opponent a question about this. This is very important. This one verse destroys any importance, significance, or imperativeness of being a physically born Jew. Jesus told Nicodemus, a Jew, that he had to be born again. He was telling Nicodemus that just being a Jew was not sufficient. Most assuredly, I say to you, unless one is born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God. John 3:3. Most assuredly, I say to you, unless one is born of water and the Spirit, he cannot enter the kingdom of God. John 3:5. Paul wrote definitively and dogmatically that being a physical Jew carried no weight with God concerning salvation today. He said, but it is not that the word of God has taken no effect, for they are not all Israel who are of Israel, nor are they all children, because they are the seed of Abraham. But in Isaac your seed shall be called. That is, those who are, listen to this, that is, those who are the children of the flesh. These are not the children of God. Let me read that again. Those who are the children of the flesh, those who are real Jews, these are not the children of God. But the children of the promise are counted as the seed, Romans 9:4-8. Now, special note, physical, national, and religious Israel, all 12 tribes and the Levites were destroyed at the root, which is according to the prophecy of John the Baptizer, Luke 3:7-9. And Jesus' prophecy of the destruction of Jerusalem and the nation in Matthew 24. Israel is irrelevant as a physical entity today. Destruction of the genealogical records destroyed Israel. The importance of the genealogical record is seen in Nehemiah's use of it. These sought their register among those that were reckoned by genealogy, but it was not found. Therefore were they, as polluted, put from the priesthood. Nehemiah 7:64. Without indisputable official genealogical proof, no man can honestly claim to be a Jew, an Israelite, or a descendant of Abraham through Isaac and Israel. The Hebrew Israelites is the greatest religious hoax perpetrated on Black people. Trevor, if you could stop my time, I need to share my second screen, please.
All right, your time is paused. So just you want to remove this one?
Okay, I'll start sharing that one.
All right, and throw the other one up.
Okay.
And again, if anyone has any questions for the debaters specifically, please put the first letter of their name before your statement or question. I see Blood of Judah is chomping at the bit with questions for Stacey, but if I need to know if you want to ask him them directly by putting an S before it. So Stacey, your presentation is up and your time will begin when you start talking.
How much time do I have, Trevor?
22 minutes.
22 minutes. Okay. All right. Let's now deal with the specifics to curses. If these curses still apply today, then all of them apply today. There is no exception or exemption. All the curses enumerated find their continual fulfillment today. Question: where in the world generally, and North America specifically, are all these curses taking place? Remember, these are not local, isolated, vague situations, but are clearly identifiable. Where? according to verses 21, verses 24 through 29, where verses 54 through 57, who verses 64 through 67. Now, these are some of the curses that I want to, well, I'll get back to that in a minute. Now, notice something very important that is said in Deuteronomy chapter 28. I got to pull this up. Deuteronomy 28, verses 58 through 61. I want you to notice something very, very important that said here in verses 58 through 61. Now, we can go through all these curses and we can look at them. But in verses 58 through 61, if you are not careful to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, that you may fear this glorious and awesome name, the Lord your God, then the Lord will bring on you and your offspring extraordinary afflictions, severe and lasting, and sickness, grievous and lasting. And he will bring upon you again all the diseases of Egypt, of which you were afraid, and they shall cling to you. Every sickness also and every affliction that is not recorded in the book of this law, the Lord will bring upon you until you all are destroyed. Now, if black people are Jews, then why aren't these curses on all black people who are not keeping the law? There should be a universal pandemic of curses on all black people who are not keeping the law, right? What about black athletes, entertainers, doctors, lawyers, educators, or any successful profession by the world standards? Why are they not experiencing these curses? Why am I not experiencing these curses? I am a black man. I am not keeping the law as a binding authority today. I'm not keeping the law, commandments, and statutes today. Where's the consistency? Is it just for the poverty-stricken? These curses were promised to a nation of people. If that nation of people are blacks today, and if black people are not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, then why are not all those who are not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments experiencing these curses? Fulfillment. The truth of the matter is that all these curses found their fulfillment in the Jews of the day going into Assyrian and Babylonian captivity. The nation that is described in the curses is the Babylonians. The king was King Nebuchadnezzar. The book of Lamentations describes some of the conditions that were fulfilled in Deuteronomy 28. During that time, children went hungry in the streets, Lamentations 2:12, and mothers resorted to eating their own children to avoid starvation, Lamentations 2:20, just as was prophesied in Deuteronomy 28. In Jeremiah 19:19, we read, and I will cause them to eat the flesh of their sons and the flesh of their daughters, and everyone shall eat the flesh of his friend in the siege and in the desperation with which their enemies and those who seek their lives shall drive them to despair. To espouse the perpetual curses on black people is an egregious error and asinine. Now let's look at the Hebrew word olam. And they shall be upon you for a sign and a wonder, and on your descendants forever. Deuteronomy 28:46, which is a sugar stick passage to the Hebrew Israelites to suggest that these curses are non-ending. We have already proved that black people are not Jews, so descendants are not referring to black people. What we want to look at is the word forever in our context. It is the Hebrew word olam. Depending on the context, it can mean various things. It does not always mean without end, regarding time, as some texts plainly teach. In fact, the word at times refers to the past. The word often refers to an indefinite period of time. The practice of circumcision, Genesis 17:14, was to be forever, as well as the Sabbath, Exodus 31:16-17, command. Yet physical circumcision is not required today as a commandment. Romans 2:25-29, Colossians 2:11-15. It's not a circumcision of the heart. The Sabbath day is no longer binding. Read Colossians chapter 2 and verse 16, where Paul, by inspiration, says, "Let no man judge you concerning the Sabbath." God's people today worship on the first day of the week. Acts 20:7, 1 Corinthians 16:1-2, Mark 16:9 informs us Jesus rose on the first day of the week. The conclusion is this: the Hebrew olam concerning the curses were for an indefinite period of time. How do we know? Because the Babylonian captivity was to last for 70 years, and the Jews would then return to their homeland. There was no need for any curses as they were purged from their idolatrous ways. Now here's my argument. If the curses of Deuteronomy 28 are universal in nature and scope on all black people, then all black people who do not keep the law would be afflicted with all the curses enumerated. Pretty plain. But it is false that all black people who do not keep the law are afflicted with the curses mentioned in Deuteronomy 28. I'm one of them. Therefore, it is false that the curses of Deuteronomy 28 are universal in nature and scope on all black people. To advocate perpetual curses fails to understand that God had a plan and a purpose called scheme of redemption. To suggest curses are still in effect has God parked on Israel. It is an ignorance of the purpose of the law and a misguided and misplaced faith in that which has been abrogated. But God's plan and purpose find their fulfillment in Christ and the church of Christ, not in Moses, the law, or physical Israel. Trevor, if you can stop my time for me, I'm going to my next slide.
All right, your time is paused at 15 minutes and 51 seconds. Go ahead and share that share that slide.
Just 1 second, sir. Okay, can you see it says a word on prophecy?
Yes, sir. And your time will begin.
How much time do I have, Trevor?
15 minutes, 51 seconds.
Oh, man, we're doing great. Okay, a word on prophecy. Similarity is not identity. Let me say that again. Similarity is not identity. Genuine predictive prophecy, the test. There are a number of criteria for determining the genuineness of prophecy as opposed to speculative prediction. Genuine prophecy involves proper timing. The oracle must significantly precede the person or event described. It must be beyond the realm of reasonable calculation so as to preclude the possibility of an educated guess. When one prophesies that it will rain tomorrow with a weather front moving in, it hardly evidences divine intervention. The prophecy must deal in specific details, not vague generalities, which are capable of being manipulated to fit various circumstances. Let me say that again. This is very important because this is what is being done. The prophecy must deal in specific details, not vague generalities, which are capable of being manipulated to fit various circumstances. To predict that someone will do something at some time is not impressive. Exact fulfillment, not merely a high degree of probability, must characterize the prediction. A prophet who is 80% accurate is no prophet at all. The curses today do not meet the criteria of proper timing because they are too late. They do not meet the criteria of specific details because they are vague in nature. They do not meet the criteria of exact fulfillment because they do not involve Black people at all. Now, I'm going into my last slide, but I'll go ahead and get this in. This kind of previews what I'll be going into. The transatlantic slave trade does not meet the criteria of proper timing because this occurred long after the prophecy was fulfilled, as well as the descriptions of the text as was explained or will be explained. It does not meet the criteria of specific details as the details of the transatlantic slave trade do not even fit the prophecy as will be explained. It does not meet the criteria of exact fulfillment as the details of what happened in Deuteronomy 28:68 are incongruent with what happened in the transatlantic slave trade as will be explained. And here's my argument. If the transatlantic slave trade does not meet the criteria of proper timing, specific details, and exact fulfillment, then the transatlantic slave trade is not a fulfillment of Deuteronomy 28:68. Number two, the transatlantic slave trade does not meet the criteria of proper timing. Its alleged fulfillment took place long after the Jews returned from Babylonian captivity. Specific details of going to Egypt, not to America, nor the exact fulfillment of Jews, not Black people, offering themselves for slaves. We'll show that here in a minute. Therefore, the transatlantic slave trade is not a fulfillment of Deuteronomy 28:68. All right, I'm going to my last slide. Trevor, you can stop my time for me, please, sir.
All right, your time is paused at 12 minutes, 23 seconds.
All right, we are doing just great.
And again, for those of you who are new to the Straight Talk Society, please make sure and hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Although we are not a Bible channel, I do hold various biblical debate topics and discussions. You can find those on the playlist section of the channel under biblical debates and discussions. And like I said, next week, I will be interviewing the one and only Peter Cox. Let me add this to the station. All right. You are at 12 minutes, 23 seconds, and your time will begin.
That's how much time I have left, Trevor?
Yes.
12 minutes.
23 seconds.
All right, great. All right, let's look at Deuteronomy 28:68. And let's look at it as dispassionately as we can, with an honest and open mind and heart to see what the text says. And the Lord will take you back to Egypt in ships by the way of which I said to you, you should never see it again. And there you shall be offered for sale to your enemies as male and female slaves, but no one will buy you. Hebrew Israelites have to twist this passage to say what it does not say to fit their doctrine. Let's examine the text. The fulfillment and fruition of this event happened with the deportations involved in the Assyrian and Babylonian captivities. Deuteronomy 28:68 means that as a part of that scattering throughout the world because of their disobedience, some of them would arrive back in Egypt, from which years earlier as a nation they had all come out. Unlike their earlier release from Egypt and that generation's seeing it no more, those to whom Moses refers would indeed see it again, since those who had held them in captivity would take them there. It could have happened during the time of either the Assyrian or Babylonian captivity up until Cyrus decreed that the Jews could go home from Babylonian. That's the only time it could have happened. Why the transatlantic slave trade is not a fulfillment of Deuteronomy 28:68. Number one, this is still in the context of the disobedience of the Jews. The transatlantic slave trade was not a result of them not keeping the law. Africans, black people not keeping the law. That wasn't the reason for the transatlantic slave trade. Number two, the text says God would take them back to Egypt, not America. Egypt here is as literal as the diseases of Egypt in verse 60. The word there and there is a literal place, Egypt, not some kind of bondage. So to try to spin this word to be metaphorical or not to be literal does violence and an injustice to the text. It's not being honest with the text. And the very fact that he says, and there, it informs us it's not metaphorical. It's a literal place, and the place was Egypt. Number three, it is in Egypt that they would offer themselves as slaves. The context is still one of curses. It's still one of the Jews in their disobedience. And God would put on them these curses in such of a way, and their lives would be of such distress that when they would go back, when God would bring them back, they would offer themselves as slaves. They would be in such a terrible and horrific situation that they would offer themselves as slaves. Their situation would be one of desperation, so much the more that they would be willing to go into servitude. This is far different from what happened in the transatlantic slave trade. Those who came from the transatlantic slave trade, they didn't offer themselves to servitude. African slaves did not sell themselves. It's an abuse of the passage. It's an abuse of the text to suggest such heresy and nonsense. And I'm being kind. I'm not, trying to infuriate my opponent or anyone else. It's just what the text plainly teaches. Number 4, the text says, but no one will buy you. Now listen very carefully. If black people were truly the Israelites, Jews, it's clear that we would not have come into slavery. Let me say that again. If black people were truly the Israelite Jews, it's clear that we would not have come into slavery. The enemies would not have bought us. They wouldn't have done it. If the black people are really truly the Israelites and the Jews. But that's not what happened, is it? You see that? Are we thinking the enemies would not have bought us? Because the text says no one will buy you. All right. Now let's deal with that word buy. The Hebrew word qanah does not mean redeem. You'll be redeemed. That doesn't even fit the text. It doesn't even fit the text. The Hebrew word qanah does not mean redeem. It means to make a purchase, agreement with another, to buy. The context bears this out as they would offer themselves for sale. The Hebrew word here is makar, which means to sell or to sell oneself. Therefore, the selling of oneself and the refusal to buy fits the language of Scripture. Any interpretation that puts selling and buying to selling and redeeming is irrational and an incongruent concept. All right, now let's look at this argument as I'm running out of time. If the transatlantic slave trade is a fulfillment of Deuteronomy 28:68, then the prophecy of the aforementioned curses is a disconnect in time and place. Let me read that again. If the transatlantic slave trade is a fulfillment of Deuteronomy 28:68, then the prophecy of the aforementioned curses is a disconnect in time and place. But it is false that the curses and Deuteronomy 28:68 are a disconnect in time and place. Deuteronomy 28:68 is in the same context as the aforementioned curses that would take place in the siege of the Babylonian captivity. Therefore, it is false that the transatlantic slave trade is a fulfillment of Deuteronomy 28 and verse number 68. Now, friends, and those who might be my enemies, you got to deal with the text. You can't involve yourself in emotion, and wanting something to be just because you want it to be. The Bible nowhere suggests, hints, or teaches the doctrine of Hebrew Israelitism. It's a fabrication. It's made up. And physical Jews, again, I show from John chapter 1, verses 13, not of blood. It doesn't even matter.
5 minutes.
It doesn't even matter, my friends. Claiming to be a physical Jew has no bearing whatsoever with God. Now, God did use the Jews in his scheme of redemption. They were at one time his chosen people. But the Jews failed to understand why, as well as those who claim to be Jews today and those who are real Jews. It was for the purpose that God would bring the Messiah through that particular lineage so he could be clearly identifiable when he came. And guess what? His own people missed it. He came to his own and his own knew him not. They should have known him. Now, when I present this presentation in a more thorough way, I will show convincingly that it's the case that Jews and black people is not. That's just, it's made up. It's what you want it to be, but it's not what it is. Now, you have to deal with the passages in John chapter 1 and verses 13. You have to deal with the passages where Jesus says, John says, not of blood. And Jesus says to Nicodemus, who was a Jew, that's not sufficient. that you must be born again. And he tells you, you got to be born of water and the spirit. And that's what happened on the day of Pentecost. When the gospel was preached, in fact, on that Pentecostal affair, and those Jews who were convicted and had honest heart asked Peter the question, and the rest of the apostles, men and brethren, what shall we do? Jesus told them they had to be born of water and spirit. Peter told them they had to do the same thing. Repent, be baptized, every one of you, in the name of Jesus Christ for the forgiveness of your sins, and you shall receive the gift of the Holy Spirit. There it is. Now you find from Acts chapter 2 going forward, the New Testament church, where any curses were on the people of God. It's not there. It's all made up, friends. And we ought to be honest with the text and get back to what the Bible teaches. Thank you much.
That's it.
You said I had 5 minutes.
Yeah, you got 2.5 minutes.
Okay. Okay. I'll yield. I'll yield.
Okay. And then look at that. We ran right on time. Perfect. All right. Shout out. Let me pause. Let me stop that time. Big props to Stacey Mobley. Fantastic presentation round. There's a lot to digest in that. Peace Jansen, Blood of Judah. You know, women could talk over here on my channel. So if you ever want to join the panel, because you seem to have a lot to say, Stacey is going to do a more in-depth breakdown of this topic sometime in January. So, well, after he debates Wayne. So it'll probably be February. So you're more than welcome to come and question them then. But I thought that was a fantastic presentation round. So Stacey, I am going to put you in the back. And I am going to bring up brother Eddie Israel. Eddie Israel, what's going on, man? You've been sitting back there waiting patiently.
Oh yeah, I'm just ready to go.
You ready to go? All right. I am going to put up the 10-minute timer for your rebuttal round. You have 10 minutes to rebut whatever he said in his opening round. If you want to yield some time, that's fine. But you do have 10 minutes, and then we'll go into your 30-minute presentation round. So the time will begin when you start talking.
All right. So the first thing I wanted to address was when he wanted to know why the curses don't affect every single person. So the answer for that is in Ezekiel 11, and we're going to start reading from verse 16. All right. So therefore say, thus saith the Lord God, although I have cast them far off among the heathen, and although I have scattered them among the countries. Now he said among the countries, not just Babylon. He said among the countries. We're going to get to that a little bit later in my presentation. He said, yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come. So there's your answer right there, why it doesn't affect everybody. I mean, he said right there, he'll build a sanctuary to some of us. So therefore, verse 17, therefore say, thus saith the Lord God, I will even gather you from the people and assemble you out from the countries where ye have been scattered. And I will give you the land of Israel. We're going to get more on that later. I'm going to show you that as well. We're going to get more on that. And they shall come hither, and they shall take away all detestable things thereof and all abominations thereof from thence. So we're gonna go to Deuteronomy 30 just to get another witness on this, because that was Ezekiel talking. Then we're gonna let Moses talk. And we're gonna start at verse 1. And this shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them a man among all the nations, not just one, all the nations, whither the Lord thy God have driven thee. And that all the nations, that means Israel. That means Israel, and that means Judah too, because they all one nation. It's all still one nation of Israel. They just split the kingdoms. It's all still one nation of Israel. All righty. And shall return unto the Lord thy God, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children with all thy heart and with all thy soul. that then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations where the Lord thy God have scattered thee. So that's twice he said, if any of thine be driven out unto the outermost parts of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. Then here we go. He says, and the Lord thy God will bring thee into a land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good and multiply thee above thy fathers. So here we go. We got two witnesses telling you the same exact thing. Two witnesses are telling you that the Lord is going to return himself and gather us from all the nations, whether he has scattered us. So to say, oh, you know, if we were the people of Israel, we would not have fallen into slavery, or no people would have bought us. I'm gonna get into that a little later in my presentation, but that's that you call the Lord a lie when you do that, because he said in two different places he had it wrote. He had it wrote in more than two, but this is two I'm giving you. He had it wrote in two different places that he was going to return and gather us from all the nations where he scattered us. So I want to yield this time, and I want to go ahead and start my presentation up.
All right, go ahead and put your presentation back up. I don't know what happened to it. Go ahead and put it back up in the back.
All righty.
Again, y'all, welcome to the Straight Talk Society. Even though this is not a biblical channel, we do host biblical debates over here. So if anyone is interested in having a biblical debate or discussion, you can hit me up at straighttalkwithtrevor@gmail.com. But I will say, if you are going to have a debate over here, you have to come like these brothers. We don't do the babbling over here. We don't do the foolishness. You got to come correct like these brothers and have a respectable dialogue. That is my only request. So, Eddie, your presentation is up. I am going to start your time when you start talking. You got 30 minutes.
All right. So we're going to go over these curses, and we're going to go over it all because slavery is a curse as well. So we're going to go over it all today, and we're going to prove that these curses are here and that they are on the people, and we're going to prove who they are not on. All right. So we're going to go to Deuteronomy 28, and we know already being Deuteronomy. We're just at 30. All right. And we're going to start from verse 25, because I want to hit the points, and I want to keep it moving. All righty. So it says, and the Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thy enemies, and thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. Now, this prophecy was to the whole nation of Israel. Now, this one was not just to Judah. Some of these prophecies in Deuteronomy 28, he made to just Judah, and a few of them he made to just Israel. Now, I want to point that out. All right. We're going to skip down to verse 27. It says, and the Lord will smite thee with the botch of Egypt, and with the emerods, and with the scab, and with the itch, whereof thou canst not be healed. All right. The Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart, and thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. So that was talking about. Part of that verse was talking about, the Babylonian captivity, and part of it is talking about today's captivity. But we're going to get to that. All right, verse 30. Thou shalt betroth the wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build a house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof. That's talking about today. All righty. Now here we go. It says, thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people. Now, you notice this here don't say nations. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thy eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thy hand. The fruit of thy land and all thy labor shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always, so that thou be mad for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. The Lord shall smite thee in the knees, and in the legs with a sore botch that cannot be healed from the sole of thy foot unto the top of thy head. The Lord shall bring thee and thy king. Now, I want to point out that thee and thy king part, because I'm going to get to that later. Which shall set thee, which thou shalt set over thee unto a nation which thou nor thy fathers have known, and there thou shalt serve other gods, wood and stone. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all the nations where the Lord shall lead thee. So once again, is the Lord telling you it's going to be where the nations he's going to lead you to. All right. Thou shalt carry much seed out into the field, and shall gather but little in, for the locust shall consume it. Thou shalt plant vineyards and dress them, but shall neither drink of the wine nor gather the grapes, for the worm shall eat them. All righty. Thou shalt have olive trees throughout all thy coasts, but thou shalt not anoint thyself with thy oil, for thine olive shall cast its fruit. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. We're going to get into that a little later. Also,
Eddie, 1 second. You know your screen is still on the curses of captivity, right?
Yeah, I know. It's
okay, all right.
It's supposed to be there.
All right, just want to make sure.
Thank you. All right. So the stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. So once again, it's telling you that you're gonna be at the bottom. You always gonna be at the bottom. Once again, I don't know what other people is at. It don't matter where you find us at. We always in the lowest position, and not just the impoverished. And once again, going back to that little sanctuary, some of us gonna be okay. And some of us gonna be famous. Yeah, some of us gonna be ball players. So I mean, we have always held, high positions in the captain's court. Joseph was the viceroy of Egypt. Daniel was the third ruler in all of Babylon and in Medo-Persia. He was the head of all the wise men. So we have always held some kind of position in our captivity. So don't think that just because some people hold position, that the rest of people, how are we doing as a whole nation of people? Not too good, I can tell you that. All right. So it says, he shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Now, once again, here we go. We talking about Babylon again. Some of those others was talking about Babylon, but here we go. He gonna zero in on it. This is Babylon. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flap, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young. Now we're gonna pause there, and we're gonna go to Jeremiah 19 real quick, because I want to point this out. Just show you that it is talking about different captivities. All righty, so thus saith the Lord, go and get all right, yeah, sorry about that. Thus saith the Lord, this is Jeremiah 19:1. Thus saith the Lord, go and get a potter's earthen bottle, and take of the ancients of the people and of the ancients of the priests, and go forth into the valley of the son of Hinnom, which is by the entry of the east gate, and proclaim there the words that I shall tell thee. And hear ye the word of the Lord, O kings of Judah and inhabitants of Jerusalem. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, God of Israel, behold, I will bring evil upon this place, the which whosoever heareth his ear shall tingle, because they have forsaken me and have estranged this place, and have burned incense unto other gods, whom neither they nor their fathers have known, nor the kings of Judah have filled this place with the blood of innocence. So you ain't have to go to another nation to serve the gods of wood and stone. They've been doing that. They have also built the high places of Baal to burn their sons for burnt offerings unto Baal, which I commanded not, nor spake it, neither came it into my mind. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord. This place shall no more be called Tophet. This place shall be no more called Tophet, nor the valley of the son of Hinnom, but the valley of slaughter. And I will make void the counsel of Judah and Jerusalem in this place. And I will cause them to fall by the sword before their enemies, and by the hands of them that seek their last. And their carcasses will I give to the meat for the fowls of heaven, for the beasts of the earth. And I will make this city desolate and a hissling, and everyone that passes thereby shall be astonished and hiss because of all the plagues thereof. And I will cause them to eat the flesh of their sons. This time about Babylon here. I will cause them to eat the flesh of their sons and the flesh of their daughters, and they shall eat everyone the flesh of his friend and the siege and straightness. Wherewith their enemies and that seek their lives shall straighten them. Now we're going to go to Jeremiah 20 and we're going to read verses 4 and 5, just to solidify this. For thus saith the Lord, behold, I will make thee a terror to thyself and to all thy friends, that they shall fall by the sword of their enemies, and thine eyes shall behold it. And behold, I will give all Judah into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he shall carry them captive into Babylon, and shall slay them with the sword. Moreover, I will deliver all the strength of the city, and all the labors thereof, and all the precious things thereof, and all the treasures of the kings of Judah will I give into the hand of their enemies, which shall spoil them and take them and carry them to Babylon. So just want that part of Deuteronomy 28 was talking about Babylon, but now we go start to get into the parts that's talking about the rest of the captivity for everybody else going on down, because he broke it all the way down, all the way up until today, and even in the future. So we're going to go to verse 49. All righty. So here's that siege he was talking about, which I just read about it. Actually, we skip down to verse 52 for the sake of time. And it says, and he shall besiege thee, and all thy gates upon thy high and fenced walls come down, whereas thou trustest throughout all thy land, and he shall besiege thee in all thy gates throughout all thy land, which the Lord thy God have given thee. And thou shalt eat the fruit of thy own body, the flesh of thy sons and daughters, which the Lord thy God have given thee, in the siege and in the straitness wherewith thine enemy shall distress thee. Now, this is telling you that. Now we're going to go down. We're going to skip down to verse 61. Now we're going to start to deal with the captivity of, the whole nation again. And also every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this law, then will the Lord bring upon thee until thou be destroyed. And you shall be left few in number, whereas you were as the stars of heaven for multitude, because thou wouldest not obey the voice of the Lord thy God. And it shall come to pass that as the Lord rejoiced over you to do you good and to multiply you, so shall the Lord rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught, and you shall be plucked from off the land whither thou goest to possess it. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all the people from one end of the earth even unto the other, and thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. And so he said, scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth to the other. And among these nations shall thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest, but the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart and a failing of eyes and a sorrow of mind. All righty. And thy life shall hang in doubt before the day, and thou shalt fear day and night, and thou shalt have none assurance of thy life. And in the morning thou shalt say, will God at evening? In the evening thou shalt say, would God it were morning? For fear of thine heart, wherewith thou shalt fear, and the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see. Now here we go with the Egypt. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Now the Lord had told you that you were never going to go back into Egypt. So that right there, he's telling you that. So Egypt right here is talking about bondage. Whereof I spake unto thee, and thou shalt see it no more again. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen or bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Now we go talk about the value part, because this is talking about reparations. Every other group in the world has got reparations for wrongdoing that's done, including the people that call themselves what we are. They even got some reparations. They got land and they got all that. We never got none of that. Why is that? All these African nations that was colonized, they got reparations. We never got any reparations. Why is that? Because we ain't never gonna receive no reparations. We under the curses. All right, so we're gonna go to Daniel 9:7, just to show you. All righty. So, O Lord, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us confusion of faces as at this day, to the men of Judah and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and unto all Israel that are near and afar off, through all the countries whither thou hast driven them, because of their trespass that they have trespassed against thee. So this telling you right, Israel was already driven out. You can go and read about they conquering in 2 Kings 17, and you can read verse 23. So Israel was already driven into the Hamite nations, the African nations. They were already driven out by the Assyrians. They were taken down already. So that goes to show you that Deuteronomy 28 wasn't talking about that, because Israel was already taken out. All righty, so we're gonna go to a history book. We're gonna go to From Babylon to Timbuktu, and we're gonna read pages 84. Well, excerpts from pages 84 and excerpts from pages 129 through 133. All righty, so this is on the Inquisition, and we go get into the slavery. All right, 1 second. So we're gonna read a little bit about this 70 AD, takedown of Jerusalem by Vespasian and his son Titus. So this is page 84 from Babylon and Timbuktu. In the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter. During the period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. During the period from Pompey to Julius, it had been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery. So that's one account of how we got into Africa. Here's another one.
15 minutes.
All righty. The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves. All righty. So this prophecy and all the residue of the prophecies contained in Deuteronomy 28:15-68 fulfilled the black Jews after they disobeyed the laws of God. Many nations transported the Jews into slavery, and the sons of Israel transmigrated into every continent. So let's go somewhere real quick. We're gonna go back to that other page, but let's read about let's read about this Dahomians. This kingdom became a major regional power in the 1720s when it conquered the coastal kingdoms of Alata and Wayida. We're gonna go to this picture real quick just to show you what Wayida is. It's this coast right here, this slave coast. And this is a real African map. You see that from 1747. That's a real map of Africa from the slave coast. All right, so we're gonna go back. With control over these key coastal cities, Dahomey became a major center in the Atlantic slave trade until 1852, when the British imposed a naval blockade to stop the trade. Dahomey was organized for war, not only to expand its boundaries, but also to take captives as slaves. Slaves were either sold to the Europeans in exchange for weapons, or kept to work the royal plantation that supplied food for the army and court. All righty, so to get another account of that, we're gonna go back into another history book, The Jews and Moors in Spain. And we are going to read where is my all right, so we're going to start reading at page 97, and then we're going to go on to 99. So this is more on that. So it says, thus mournfully we close the last chapter. These are sad words fraught with anguish and despair. Yet, however sad, however despondent and hopeless, however much grief and anguish and despair they convey, they befell the Jews, and they failed together. It says here, when they were asked to describe the sufferings and misery which they met in the unfortunate exiles, everywhere in their fruitless search for the quiet spot where they might live or die in peace, ships stood ready in the harbors to carry nearly all of the banished 300,000 Jews, whichsoever it suited the captains best. And to these ships, the exiles were literally packed, crowded together without regard to sex or age, often mother torn from child, husband from wife, brother from sister, friends from friends, and separated on the coast. Separated on the coast meant separation forever. So this is about the sons and daughters going into captivity. This is a historical account of that. All righty, so here we are. It says, how many hundreds of days purgatory punishment were canceled for this pious utterance of the Castilian history, again neglected to record. Another shipload was cast out by a barbarous captain upon the African coast, where the African savages pounced down upon them and abandoned themselves to frightful cruelties. The men and youth they sold into slavery. The defenseless women were brutally ravished. The children at their mother's breasts, the aged and the sick and the infirm were mutilated and tortured and murdered by the thousands. So once again, we're talking about it. It says, and all Jewish children below 14 years of age were torn from their parents' arms, dragged into the church, baptized. Those under 3 years of age were given to Christians to receive a Christian education, or in other words, to be raised as slaves. And those between 3 and 10 years of age were put on board a ship and conveyed to the newly discovered unwholesome island of St. Thomas. That's also on that kingdom of Judah.
10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Which was colonized by those between 10 and 14 years old were sold as slaves. So here we got two historical accounts that's telling you that they were sold, the Jews were slaves and that they were part of the transatlantic slave trade. All righty, so we're gonna go down to these curses. Now we're gonna go down to some of these curses of imprisonment. Now it says the U.S. continues to lock up hundreds of thousands of people pre-trial and therefore legally innocent every day. Black people are still overrepresented behind bars, making up about 38% of the prison and jail population and only 12% of the new U.S. residents. How is that possible? Because in Isaiah 42 and 22, it said that we was going to be hidden away in prison houses. See, everybody like to focus on just the curses in Deuteronomy 28, but those curses were all over there. It's curses in Jeremiah, it's curses in Ezekiel, and it's curses in Isaiah. All right, so it says Black people are also overrepresented among the federal offender population. Now we're gonna go to Canada. We're gonna go to another country. This is the most recent data I could find. 9% of the offenders under federal jurisdiction and custody under community supervision were Black, despite only representing about 4% of adults in Canada. Between 2016 and 2017 and 2020 and 2021, the total federal offender population decreased by almost 7%, from 23,045 to 21,512 respectively. But the number of Black people within this population increased by 2%, from 1,836 to 1,876 respectively. How is that possible? How is that possible when we really only make up 4% of the population? How did the prison population decrease, but it increased for us? Starting to sound like to me these curses are for real, because the Lord gave these curses as a sign so you can identify these people. Despite making up 18% of the population of England and Wales, black male prisoners are significantly overrunning, and they just took this for the males. It's not even for the females. They just took this for the males. Significantly overrepresented in the prison system, with approximately 28% of the overall prison population from a BME background in 2022. Once again, how is this possible? 18% of the population, and we 28% of the prison population. Okay, so let's look at the people who say they are. Let's see if these curses fit. So I just literally took the prison numbers because they were the easiest to prove. We all know that they didn't go through the slave trade, so we don't even have to go through that. So according to the Aleph Institute, Jews only account for 1.7% of the prison population in the United States. 1.7% versus 38%. All right. 1.7% of the prison population. According to the Jewish Chronicle, the most recent census in 2022 showed that Jews make up 0.7% of people in England and Wales, while Jewish inmates constitute 0.38% of the prison population. 0.38, not even the whole 1% of the prison population. These curses, they were going to fit. And they said these curses had to fit somebody. So why are we so overly represented? Because the Lord said so. The Lord said that's how it was going to be. What's my time, Trevor?
You got 5 minutes and 39 seconds.
All righty. So we're going to read a few. We're going to read a few more scriptures. We're going to read a few more scriptures. We're going to go to Joel 3, and we're going to read 1 through 7. Now, this is biblical proof of that slave trade. Again, for behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel. Now, why is he bringing all nations into the valley of Jehoshaphat? Because he said we was going to be scattered in all nations. This is prophecy. And this is talking about the valley of Jehoshaphat, the war Armageddon. That's what that's talking about when he's talking about he gonna bring all the nations down. All righty. And will plead with them for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. And they have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for a harlot and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. Use a means of exchange. Yeah, what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine? Will you render me a recompense? Now he's talking to the people that call themselves us. And if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return and recompense upon your own head, because ye have taken my silver and my gold and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. The children of Judah also and the children of Jerusalem ye have sold unto the Grecians. The Grecians? All right. That you might remove them far from their border. Behold, I will raise them out of the place where ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. And I will sell your sons and your daughters to the hand. Well, I'm not gonna go there. Let's stop there. All right, so we're gonna go to Ezekiel 37. Just to get another witness on this. And we're gonna start at verse 12. Therefore, and prophesy and say unto them, thus saith the Lord God, behold, O my people, I will open your graves and cause you to come up out of your graves, and will bring you into the land of Israel. And you shall know that I am the Lord when I have opened your graves, O my people, and brought you up out of your graves, and shall put my spirit in you, and ye shall live, and I shall place you in your own land. And you shall know that I, the Lord, have spoken it and performed it, saith the Lord. All righty, so we're gonna skip down. We're gonna skip down to verse 19. Because he talked about Judah coming back. Now, this is talking about the whole nation coming back together. Say unto them, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel, his fellows, and will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and will make them one stick, and they shall be one in mine hand. And the sticks whereon thou writest shall be in thine hand before thine eyes, and say unto them, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whither they be gone once again. Among the heathen, whither they be gone. Heathen mean nation.
2 minutes.
Whither
2
they be gone, and
minutes.
will gather them on every side. All righty. All right. And will bring them into their own land. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountain of Israel, and one king shall be to them all, and they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms any more at all. Neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions. But I will save them out of all their dwelling places, wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their God. And David, my servant, shall be king over them, and they shall have one shepherd. Now he's talking about David. David gonna be king over them. David ain't over there right now. That's talk this. So that means this talking about future. And they shall also walk in my judgments and observe my statutes and do them. And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt, and they shall dwell therein, even they, their children, and their children's children forever. And my servant David shall be their prince forever. So I gave you historical accounts, biblical accounts. You know, I gave you facts on who we are, and that's y'all take it how y'all want to take it, but this should prove without a shadow of a doubt who Israel is and who Israel is not. So I thank y'all for y'all time.
All right. Hey, I told y'all. I told y'all this young man be bringing that heat, man. Shout out to brother Eddie Israel, man, for bringing that fantastic presentation. 2 great presentation rounds by both debaters. And before I bring Stacey Mobley up for his 10-minute rebuttal period, I do want to give shout out to Bold Works and Wayne Smith. Shout out to MD20 and Jansen that joined us in the building. Yeah, let me stop that. Peace to you guys. Let me bring Stacey up here real quick. And before we get into Stacey Mobley's rebuttal round, as I see Wayne Smith in the building, Wayne Smith will be having his first debate on the Straight Talk Society. Let me get that up. His debate will be, oh, sorry, wrong one. I got so many debates up here. I'll get it. Don't worry about it. What did I do with it? Oh man, don't tell me I messed it up. I'll have it up before the night is over. But Wayne Smith will be debating Stacey Mobley. I want to say January 25th. Here it is right here. January 25th at 7 p.m. And the topic of that debate is baptism for the forgiveness of sins? Again, that will be Stacey Mobley versus Wayne Smith. So I can't wait for that one to come up. And again, by way of announcements, next week, Thursday at 6 p.m., I will be doing a one-on-one interview with Peter Cox. So I'm going to put Eddie Israel in the back. Let me bring up the 10-minute timer. As soon as that timer gets up. And this is Stacey Mobley's 10-minute rebuttal period. And Stacey, your rebuttal time will begin when you start talking.
Appreciate Eddie's presentation tonight. Thank you all for, again, being here. Thank you for the comments. And I appreciate Eddie's effort. However, the things that he said, we'll go through them real quickly. He began with two scriptures in his rebuttal of the things that I said. He went to Ezekiel. He went to Deuteronomy 30. The problem is that my opponent does not understand the time frame of these passages. These passages has to do with the return of God's people from Babylonian captivity. So it's not before they go into Babylonian captivity. It's not during Babylonian captivity. It has to do with them returning from Babylonian captivity, and God would show a favor. They would be purged from their idolatry after 70 years. You won't see them having a problem with idolatry. That's what brought them to Babylonian captivity. But after the 70 years, they indeed would be purged from that those idolatrous ways. And then he made mention, let's see, I got my notes, some to Judah, some to Israel. Okay, concerning the curses, Deuteronomy 28 is very specific. And it's dealing with God's people who were getting ready to go into the land of Canaan. Joshua was going to bring them into the land of Canaan. They had that generation just died off in the wilderness that was unfaithful. God is now talking to that new generation that's going to possess the land of Canaan that God had promised to the fathers. He's talking to them and telling them that if they don't remain faithful, they don't keep the commandments, that they are the ones that's going to experience the curses in Deuteronomy 28. Israel has now is no more at this point. They have gone into Assyrian captivity, and they're no more. And now God is dealing with his people going over into Canaan. And it would be these individuals who would go into Babylonian captivity. This has to do, okay. Now, the curses they're not isolation. Now, my opponent brought up that, he says some people will prosper, some people, and that's why I brought the chart up with the curses. If I have time, I might ask Trevor to bring that back up again. This is a situation where this is a nation of people. This is not an isolated event or isolated individuals. And so we can't make this like this is some of God's people and not some prosper, some. No, this is a nation of people. They would be cursed as a people, not individually. This is why I asked the question to my beloved opponent. And I'll ask this again, when we get into the question, which one is it? Today is Israel, are they in the category of being blessed, or are they in the category of being cursed? It's not a matter of isolation, because the curses, God said he would bring on the nation, not certain individuals, but the nation. And that's exactly what he did. And we read that in seeing that in Kings, we see that in Jeremiah. We see that God bringing about the fruition of the things that he had said that he would do to them in the book of Jeremiah as well. Jeremiah 19. Jeremiah 19 is about the Babylonian captivity. All that he quoted, and he was reading those scriptures and he was doing good. And every time when he was reading them, it was about the Babylonian captivity. That's exactly what it's about. All right. He goes to say that Egypt means bondage. That does not mean that. Egypt is not bondage. It's a literal place in the context of discussion. And what we're talking about in Deuteronomy 28, it's a literal place. Now, again, we have to be as dispassionate as we can. We want something to be something so bad, but that doesn't make it true. Egypt is a literal place, and that's exactly where they would go back and where they did go back. He says we're under the curses. But again, if we're under the curses, then we're under the curses as a people, not as certain individuals, because that's what God said in Deuteronomy 28. It wouldn't be isolationists. It wouldn't be individuals. It would be the people as a whole. So if you say we're under the curses, then you've got to show the proof that we're all under the curses. Are you under the curses, my friend? I'm not under the curses. None of those things that are applied and mentioned in Deuteronomy 28 has nothing to do with me whatsoever. And I'm allegedly a Jew. And I'm not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. And I'm not under one of those curses. Not one. Now, do I get sick? Do I get a cold? Do I get a flu? Yes. Just got over one. That has nothing to do with what God mentioned in Deuteronomy 28. He was very specific. Very specific. And some of those things that he made mention, where is that happening as a people today? Where are women eating their children? Where is, God bringing down, instead of rain, bringing down dust? Where is that happening? We got to get specific and real with what is being said. We can't. That's why I gave that chart about prophecy. Similarity is not identity. It's not vague, similar things that is happening to a certain group of people, and it's not happening to everybody. Everybody that's allegedly a Jew, and you say we are still under the curses. Well, where is it happening? As a group, as a corporate body of people, not as individuals. The text doesn't talk. Stay with the text. That's what it's saying. Now he mentions Babylon and Timbuktu and the Jews and Moors in Spain. Well, that's good for history, but it has nothing whatsoever to do with this debate. It has nothing whatsoever to do with Deuteronomy chapter 28 and the curses. It has nothing whatsoever to do with the specifics of Deuteronomy 28:68 when they would go back to Egypt in ships and offer themselves as slaves, and no one would buy them. It has nothing whatsoever to do with the plain passage in Deuteronomy 28. So to bring that up as history, well, that's fine, but it has nothing to do with the text. And then he shows the curse of imprisonment. Maybe there are injustices. Maybe there are a lot of injustices. That has nothing to do with Deuteronomy 28. Then maybe there's what is called choices. Maybe a lot of people are locked up, maybe because of the choices they've made. Have we thought about that? Yeah, I agree there are injustices, but do you agree that there are choices that people have made that have put themselves in that situation? But this has nothing, again, whatsoever to do with the curses in Deuteronomy 28. You can't do an aside of things that's happening to so-called black people, and somehow that has something to do with Deuteronomy 28. You have to stay with the text. It has nothing whatsoever. Joel chapter 3 is the Lord judging the nations. That's what the chapter is about. Ezekiel, he brought up Ezekiel, and they're in captivity in Ezekiel. Ezekiel is sitting where they sit. They are in captivity, but Ezekiel gives some hope in those very verses that he read concerning their return and what God would do for his people in the future by giving them his spirit. That's a prophecy concerning the church, friends. It's a prophecy concerning God's people down the ages, to find its fruition beginning in Acts chapter 2. Has nothing whatsoever to do, again, with the curses in Deuteronomy 28 or the transatlantic slave trade, Deuteronomy 28 and verse number 68. Now we can go in history and we can say things and we can build up caricatures and we can say this fits this and this, but unless we stay with the text, we have to stay with the text. The text is specific. God is specific. What would happen to them? It did happen to them during the siege, and they went on into Babylonian captivity. And God told them they would be there for 70 years. And he said, make a life for yourself, build houses, have children, but you're not going to be gone. You're not going to be released until 70 years. And that's exactly what happened. I yield my time.
I was muted. Sorry about that. Fire rebuttal round from Stacey Mobley. I mean, Stacey, you got Blood of Judah going crazy in this chat. So again, I hope one day she'll come on the panel, maybe when you're doing your presentation. So we are now getting ready for the question and answer round, and we're doing very, very good on time. I didn't think we were going to be doing this good on time based on this format, but we are, and I appreciate both of you for doing this. So let me pull up the time clock, and we are going to put 20 minutes on the timer. And you guys, Eddie Israel, you will get the first question. Let me get the time set first. You will get the first question because Stacey just finished. And you guys got 20 minutes back and forth. I know that you two will be very respectful with one another, so I know I don't have to worry about that. Just again, station identification. Patricia wanted to know the time of Wayne and Stacey's debate. That is going to be January 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So be sure to tune into that. And again, next Thursday, I will be interviewing Peter Cox. So, Eddie, 20 minutes on the clock. The time will begin when you ask your first question. Unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. Shout out to my opponent for taking up this debate with me. I want to say that first. You know, I appreciate your time, bro. I really do. And my first question to you is on, you know, that Joel 3. Like, once again, there were a couple of verses in Joel 3 that clearly made the point of what I was making, but you said it didn't mean that. So, you know, explain to me the verses and what they mean. Because they read one way and you say you saying they're reading another way. So explain to me what they don't mean when they're saying exactly what they mean.
What exactly are you saying that they mean, Eddie?
Oh, what exactly am I saying that they mean? I'm saying they mean exactly what they say. So for instance, in verse 2, it says that he will gather all nations. He didn't say one nation, he said all nations, and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat and plead there for his people and his heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted his land.
Okay, all right.
So that's talking about an anti. So another example that I would like you to explain is verse 6. It says, the children of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that you might remove them far from their borders. How do you explain that?
Okay, that's I'm glad to clarify. When I said this is judgment concerning the nations, that's exactly what it is. It's judgment dealing with the nations and how they treated God's people. That's what the text is explaining. God says you got to come down. It's decision time. At the valley of Jehoshaphat, and He's going to deal with those nations and how they treated His people. You see, God can use nations, and He can use nations in their evil, just like He did with the Babylons. And yet He would come back and He would deal with the Babylons. So they have free course in how they treated God's people, but God would again render vengeance on them for the treatment of His people. That's exactly what's going on here. So, I mean, what are we missing?
Okay, you said whom? Okay, once again, I'll read it again, because you keep going back to the. I already said that this was talking about the value of Megiddo, or the war Armageddon. I said that, but there are specific things in these verses that you are not addressing. So once again, I will go back to it. How do you explain scatter among the nations? And the Lord said he will gather all nations. How do you explain the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians? How do you explain that?
I don't know what you want me to explain other than the fact that they did it and God is going to punish them for doing it. I'm not denying that they did it. God is bringing them to account of their actions. And that's what he's saying. This is what you did. You scattered, you sold. He says, now the time is coming where you're going to have to pay for your actions for what you did to my people. The explanation is God is going to enact vengeance on the treatment that his people receive from the hands of these nations.
Ask your question, Stacey.
Okay, all right. My first question, and I asked you this before, Eddie. I didn't get an answer, and I need an answer. I need an answer. Are the Jews God's special people today?
Clarify, and once again, I asked you to clarify that question.
Okay, let me see if I can nail it down. Be a little more specific.
Yeah, clarify it.
Does God show any special favor to the Jews today?
No, he does not.
All right. Since you just said no, he does not show any special favor to the Jews, your whole presentation, your body of work is that's what it's all about. Don't you understand? Don't you? If you say that he shows nothing special to the Jews today, your whole body of work is about the Jews being special today. When you say we're still under the curses, where we went, what we did, you're still clamoring that there's something special about the Jews today in your whole presentation, but yet you answer the question that you take away everything you presented. If there is nothing special, then why go into all that about them? Why the emphasis on them?
You said why the emphasis on them?
Yeah, you just said there's nothing special. God shows no special favor to them. So why are you in your presentation in defense of them? Why are you saying we? You know, when you say we, I don't want to misrepresent you, but I'm assuming you're including yourself in that category, and somehow, some way that's special to God.
You don't have to be a special people to fall under the curses. Prophecy is prophecy, is what I'm saying to you. So to say that Israel is special among all people, that'll obviously be going against the book. That's the same as saying Israel is only going to be saved, and that's what you're trying to get me to say. But you ain't gonna hear that out of my mouth. Here's the whole thing. I read to you many times in two different lessons of persons. But Israel is the Lord's firstborn. Israel was the one who knew God first. So Israel was the only nation that could backslide at that time. And so because Israel backslid, this is what I obey. We were the only ones that made a covenant with the Lord before he made a covenant with the rest of the nations. We were the only ones. So we are the only ones who can be punished in that way. But that doesn't make us any more special than anybody. In fact, it makes us fool. It makes us actually, foolhardy as a people. And I ain't calling nobody a fool, but our forefathers did not obey God, and they knew God, and the rest of the world did not know God. So it does not make us special. So to answer your question, no, it doesn't. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, ask your question when you're done.
No, I was going to say, it didn't even it doesn't make Israel special, and it does not, it does not discredit anything that I did, because the proof is there. And that's the whole thing. The proof is there. Remember when we talked, I told you it don't matter what you know or what you don't know. The truth is the truth, and it ain't gonna change. Remember, I told you that. So now, to my question. Now, once again, I'm gonna go back to. So how do you explain all this history? How do you explain all this stuff? Because I gave you historical accounts, I gave you statistics, and I gave you all that. How do you explain all this stuff? And it's written in the Bible that these people were going to be under this. How do you explain all that away and just say, oh, we aren't that, without coming with any facts of your own to prove that we aren't?
The fact of the matter is the history you gave has nothing to do with the people in the context of Deuteronomy 28. I'm not explaining away the text of Deuteronomy 28. I'm acknowledging the text. I'm acknowledging the fact that in Deuteronomy chapter 28, the Jews, what happened with them concerning the curses happened to them. It happened to them at a certain time period. That time period, it was not extended beyond Babylon, because the Jews came back from Babylon after 70 years. You don't read anything about curses when they returned from Babylon and went back to their homeland and rebuilt their cities. Do you read anything about Israel being cursed? I guess I'm not supposed to be asking the question. Concerning when they returned, this all happened. This was specific, a certain period of time. I'm explaining the text. And so the addendum or additional history that you're bringing in about other peoples is irrelevant to Deuteronomy 28 and what happened during that time period, during the siege and during the Babylonian captivity. That's what I'm staying on. I'm not going beyond that. Now, if you can show me curses after the Jews returned from their homeland by the decree of Cyrus, and all these things happening to them, then you got a case. If you can't show me that, then you give up your position concerning curses being on us today, because the curses was for a limited time period. I gave you the Hebrew word olam and what that meant, and you don't find the Jews being cursed specifically in Deuteronomy chapter 28 after they returned back from Babylon. You just don't. Now, is it my time to ask a question, or does he want to respond?
Oh, it's your. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Here's my question, because I want to nail this down. I want to nail this down. In Deuteronomy chapter 28, when God lists what's the state now of Israel? Are they, because the curses, I mean, the Deuteronomy 28, he mentions blessings and he mentions curses. He mentions them as a body of people, not individuals. So my question is, what's the state of Israel today? Are they in the blessings? Or are they in the curses? And if they are in the blessings, show where that's happening as a body of people. And if they're in the curses, show where that's happening as a body of people.
Well, I believe in my presentation, I've already showed where it's happening with a body of people. I showed 3 different places. I just had 3 different places for the sake of time. I have much more. And with my presentation, I've showed that. I showed where it's happening, and I've showed clearly that we fell under the curses. I showed that clearly.
Eddie, are you under the curses right now? Are you under the curses right now? Or are you under the blessings?
We are all, if you Israel, you are under the curses.
Okay, well, where is it happening as a body of people? You claim I'm Israel. It's not happening with me.
And once again, back to Ezekiel 11 and 16. Back to Ezekiel 11 and 16. So let me go back there. Once again, where he says that he'll be a little sanctuary to you. in the countries where they come. So the Lord have mercy on whom he will, and the Lord, he punish whom he will.
But
I
in
mean, you
Deuteronomy
got some
28,
people out here
Eddie,
that's keeping the
it's
commandments. You
not
got
a
some
matter
people.
of whom he
Oh,
will.
let
It's
me finish my.
Israel.
Let me finish my. Let me finish my. Hey, let me finish my answer.
Go
Let me
ahead.
finish my answer. All right, thank you, thank you. All right, so once again, we go back to that. Once again, it says among. It says among them where they scattered them. This is what he's talking about, and then he said he'll be a little sanctuary to you. Once again, this is out of the Lord's own mouth. What he said he'll build a sanctuary to somebody. You got some people who are keeping the law, and some people who not keeping the law. Some people who not keeping the law. Yeah, we all still generally fall under the curses, but as I stated in my presentation, you can still be blessed in the land of your captivity. Because, like I said, Joseph was Joseph still not a captive in Egypt when he was viceroy of Egypt? He still had to get permission. He still had to get permission from Pharaoh in order to leave to bury his own father. What kind of ruler got to get permission from another ruler? Even if Pharaoh was first in the country, it was Pharaoh's country. Still, the only thing Joseph was running, he had all the land, he had all that land in Egypt, and he was running that family. He was viceroy, but he was still a captive. Same thing with Daniel. He was still a captive in Babylon. But he was captain of the wise. He was captain of the wise men. So you can still be blessed in the land of your captivity. But that does not mean it's still not happening not happening to the group of people as a whole group. So you're going to tell me that because Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had high places in the court, you're going to tell me that because Joseph had a high place in the court, you're gonna tell me that because they all had half place in the court, that that the people still wasn't and during Joseph's time, you may have that one a little bit because Israel weren't there yet, but they became captives after that. And during Daniel's time, they were captives in Babylon still. So once again, going back to the Ezekiel 11, if the Lord say he gonna be a little sanctuary to you, he gonna be a little sanctuary to you. I cannot tell you why the Lord, why they fall more heavily on some people than other people. I cannot honestly tell you why. But what I can do is present these facts to you and show you that these curses are here. And I believe I did a great job of that. And I even proved that the curses are not on the people who say they are who we are. So I don't know what else I got to even prove.
Well, let me kindly say, I can appreciate your own assessment of what you felt you've done. I respect that, but it all goes back, my friend, to the text. The text is specific. Ezekiel chapter 11, God being a sanctuary, he being a sanctuary to the obedient. He's not being a sanctuary to the disobedient. And the disobedient in Deuteronomy 28 are the ones where the curses have fallen on. That's their lot. God can, yes. As a matter of fact, it would be good, and the time won't allow us to do it, to go from not only read Deuteronomy 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, it's fluid. And God is continually dealing with the fact of Israel being his people if they be obedient. It's all conditional. But if they're not obedient, if they're disobedient, they have the curses. He continues to say that. And so again, it's not isolated with a few people. It's a body of people. It's a nation of people. And that's how God operated then. But the gospel sets us free. Jesus said you should know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. We're not under any curses today. The Bible teaches that God has liberated us in Jesus today. So to maintain curses by way of disobedience. Now, do God's people fall today? Yes, but they can repent. But as a body of people, no one is under curses today. Again, I speak of myself. Not one. I'm not under not one. Not one has befallen me. And I do not keep the law, statutes, and commandments. And that was the condition of the curses in Deuteronomy 28. If you don't do that, they will befall you. And it's not befalling on a body of people. So you can ask me another question if you choose. I'm good, Trevor, with me asking him questions.
I'm good too.
Yeah.
I'm good too.
Let me say this while the time is running. Is that
go ahead.
I really appreciate Eddie. I appreciate his demeanor, and I appreciate his willingness to come before the world. That's what this is, and give his convictions. I really do. And I hope that he and I can continue. We've had very cordial conversations even before this. And I hope we can continue to not only talk, but to study, because this is just so important. And that's why I wanted to take this discussion. I was trying to get out of it, to be honest with you. I was telling Trevor, I wanted to get out of it because I really appreciate him and I like him. I want some of these guys that are just arrogant, and some of these guys, that have, no respect for decorum. And maybe, Trevor, you can work on that and get some of those guys over here on your platform.
All right. Oh man, and there you have it. Fantastic debate. I think this, man, the amount of information, you almost got information overload in this one. And these two brothers, I talked to them, behind the scenes. Like I say, these are guys that call me and actually check on me and see how I'm doing. That's why I appreciate them so much. And for them, it's not just about debating. They actually want to get the word out to people, what they believe is the truth. And I will say this, whether you agree with what they're saying or not, at least be respectful. I mean, at some point, I shouldn't be the one having to tell people to be respectful during a biblical debate. That's just utterly ridiculous. But nevertheless, I think these two brothers did a fantastic job, man. Like I got a lot of respect. Eddie is I think Eddie is a couple years younger than me, probably by double digits almost. But the respect that I have for him, he's just like my partner MD.
Both of you guys could be my son.
he's just like my partner MD. Like they're younger than me, but I like the knowledge and the information that they bring, I could learn from it. So, I'll never be the guy that doesn't listen, even whether you agree or not, and there was a lot of people in the chat that disagreed both ways. So, whether you agree or not, disagree, at least be respectful. And if you do disagree, then you do what they do. You come up here and you challenge them. But I notice people that like to talk a lot, they'll never get up and challenge you. I was in a debate league before, so I know how difficult this is. I've done this before, and I know how hard this is. So I appreciate both of you guys, man. This was awesome. So I do have some questions from the chat. Let me get through Blood of Judah first, though, because she was just dropping a bunch of statements. So a lot of this was for Stacey, but Eddie, if you want to chime in, and this was just a comment throughout the chat. So Blood of Judah was saying, so he believes that the white folks in Israel are the Jews. That was when you were giving your presentation. She also said those white Jews don't fit any of the curses. Why don't Christians ever read all the curses? That's suspect. So Blood of Judah was just going in, Stacey, on you. That's why I'm glad you don't read the chat during your debates. Black people fit all the curses. So Jansen asked a question to Mobley. Question for Mobley: what was the point of him bringing up Nicodemus and born again? Eddie told him we have no privileges to salvation. So what was your purpose for bringing up Nicodemus?
Let me respond real quickly to Black Judah.
Blood of Judah. Blood of Judah.
But I'm sorry, blood of Judah. I appreciate those comments and her concern, concerning those things. I just would invite you to maybe revisit the debate on the part of the curses that I made mention of, and I think you might find a little clarity. I know this is really emotional for a lot of people, and I understand that. But perhaps if you can, maybe in a more calmer, environment, just revisit the things that I've said, and that may answer some of the questions you might have about that. Okay, so far as Jansen, what was the point of him bringing up Nicodemus and born again? Eddie told him we have no privileges. Okay, the reason I brought that up, Jansen, was it had nothing to do with salvation. I didn't bring that up for a salvation point. I brought that up to show that it took more than just being a physical Jew to be born again. And my whole emphasis was that it's not about being a Jew. Nicodemus was a Jew.
Eddie, you got some clicking in the background.
Oh, sorry.
Nicodemus was a Jew, and Jesus said it wasn't sufficient. He said you got to be born again. So that was my point, not the salvation point, but the fact that Nicodemus being a Jew, it was a matter of no privilege. It was a matter of no privilege. It was that you're not in a special class because you got to be born again. That was my point of bringing that up.
So Eddie, Patricia wants to know where did you get the book from Babylon to Timbuktu?
I got them from Amazon. All the books I had. I also have another one. It's called The Jew, a Negro, that I didn't read from. I got all three of them in a bundle for like $26 off Amazon.
Oh, okay. So Stacey, Duran wants to know, can you tell us what this verse is saying? Romans 9 verse 2 through 5 and 1 Peter 2 verse 9 and 10.
Well, if you allow me to, if you give me the time to do it.
All right, pull it up and we'll come back to it, because I got it up. You got it. All right, go ahead.
Okay. Romans 9, let me read it so I can answer it correctly. For I could wish that I myself were cursed and cut off from Christ for the sake of my brothers, my kinsmen according to the flesh. They are Israelites, and to them belong the adoption, the glory, the covenants, the giving of the law, the worship, and the promises. To them belong the patriarchs, and from their race, according to the flesh, is the Christ, who is God over all, blessed forever. Amen. The Apostle Paul in Romans chapter 9 is a pain of heart. He's in a lot of pain because his Jewish kinsmen, are rejecting the gospel. They're rejecting the gospel. Paul had a problem with the Jews. All you have to do is read the New Testament. He had a problem. They wanted to kill him. And the problem was they felt that he was a traitor. But Paul understood, because he at one time was just like they were, having persecuted the church. And so what Paul is writing here, he's writing and he's given the history of the Jews. That is correct history. But they were maintaining that history as exclusive and not understanding that their history was not going to save them. They had to obey the gospel of Christ. That's what Paul said in Romans 1. He's not ashamed of it, that the gospel is for Jew first and then the Gentile. But the Jews could not ever get over that hump. And so Paul is pain in heart here when he's talking about the Jews, and he identifies them Israelites. The law was given to them, all that. They had the patriarchs, and but they never understood, and they never did grasp. A few of them did the gospel of Jesus Christ, which Paul was now a member of the Church of Christ, and he was persecuted for it. And he had the hope that his Jewish brethren would come on board with him, but he understood because he was at one time in their shoes. That's what all that's about. All right, so 1 Peter 2 and 9 and 10. 1 Peter 2, 9 and 10. But you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for his own possession, that you may proclaim the excellencies of him who called you out of darkness to his marvelous light. Okay, verse 10. Once you were not a people, but now you are God's people. Once you had not received mercy, but now you have received mercy. Well, Peter surely isn't talking to the Jews, because the Jews at one time were God's people. They were God's chosen covenant people. He's talking to those who were at one time were not God's people. Well, these individuals now who are now a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, are members of the church. They're God's people in the family of God, in the church of Christ. That's who this is dealing with. And that's why he identifies them in 1 Peter chapter, I think it's 4, when he identifies them as Christians. If any man suffer, let him suffer as a Christian. He's talking to Christians now who are now God's people, who have obeyed the gospel. They are the ones who are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for God's own possession.
All right. And you got a question from Michelle. Eddie, this is for you. Which tribe or tribes are, let me put it up. Which tribe or tribes are the Black Israelites? So I don't think Eddie believes this.
Yeah, I can't even touch that question, to be honest with you. And then especially like Black is, I can't touch that.
Yeah,
sorry,
Michelle. Eddie's not one of those. So like one of the guys that you probably see on YouTube that go around yelling at people, he's not them. Yeah, Eddie is not them. He believes salvation is for everybody. Jansen asks, Mobley, do you have historical accounts? Those Jews are the ones you see in Jerusalem now.
I don't think I really understand what he's asked. Do you have history accounts of those Jews? Accounts those Jews are the ones you see in Jerusalem.
I think he was trying to ask, can you prove historically that the Jews that are over in the land now are the Jews from back then? I think that's what he's trying to ask.
Okay. That makes a little more, that brings to clarity. The proof that they're still there, that they're there. You see the war that's going on, and that's who those people have always been. That they're still there. That's the proof.
All right. Blood of Judah asks. So she asked two questions. Stacey, do you believe? No, don't. So she's saying, don't you believe we're already in 1,000-year reign? I don't know. I didn't hear you mention that, but I don't know why she would ask that. Well,
she would have to, clarify what she means by the 1,000-year reign. There's no such reign. If she's thinking that Jesus is coming back to come to earth and reign in Jerusalem for a literal 1,000 years, the Bible never teaches that. The Bible never teaches Jesus coming back to this earth again. Matter of fact, it tells us when he comes back, we're going to meet him in the air. There is no such thing as a 1,000-year reign. That 1,000-year reign in Revelation chapter 20 has to be explained.
You just set YouTube on fire just then with what you just said.
I need to do a presentation, Trevor.
I'm pretty sure that I'm going to get some phone calls about that, what you just said.
Absolutely. There's no such thing.
Wow.
It's all made up.
Wow.
It's all fabrication and concoction of the mind and doctrine of men.
Wow.
Revelation 20 and 1,000
with all
years.
due respect, you are so wrong, but it's okay.
Wow.
So wrong, my brother. But it's okay.
That's fine. That's fine. We can debate that.
Wow.
We can debate that if you want to debate that. But Revelation 20 has to be explained, and I can show and prove that Jesus is not coming back to earth to reign in Jerusalem for 1,000 years to sit on David's literal throne. It's all made up. It's false.
I cannot believe you just said that. Jansen, Duran, I know y'all want to take him up on that. I know that without a shadow of a doubt.
Set it up, Trevor. Set it up.
Blood of Judah asks, what gate will the Gentiles enter in the kingdom?
The Gentiles are going to enter into the same gate that everybody else enter in. If she's referring to the Revelation, she needs to understand. I say this respectfully because I know they don't understand that Revelation is a book of apocalyptic literature. You can't literalize that book no more than you can literalize the apocalyptic look of Jesus in Revelation chapter 1. The book is written in signs and symbols. Everybody, 2 Peter chapter 1, Jew or Gentile. Paul said in Romans chapter 1 that salvation is for Jew and Gentile. Jew first and then also to the Greek. He wasn't ashamed of the gospel. When you're dealing with the book of Revelation, you have to interpret the book in the light of how it's written. You can't literalize a book that's written in figurative language and symbolic language. And you got to interpret those things in light of how it's written. Jew and Gentile are going to be saved. All of God's people are Jew and Gentile, all those who obey the gospel of Jesus Christ. So they're going into the same gate everybody else is going into.
I'm still tripping on the 1,000-year reign because you got the chat going crazy now because wow. So last question. This one comes from Michelle. I always like to say Michelle for last because she's one of our best supporters over here. Michelle says, question, who are the Jews? Who are the Jews that have to complete the 7-year punishment that God put on the Jews for not resting the land? This is supposed to take place during the tribulation. And then she goes on to say, if I am confused whether or not they're God's chosen people, the Jews are supposed to complete the punishment for not resting the land. And oh, that was for Stacey.
No such thing. There are no Jews that have to complete a 7-year punishment that God put on the Jews for not resting in the land. You have to give me some scripture exactly what you're talking about, and I can better answer it based on the scripture. But based on what is being said, none of that is true. There is no Jews that have to complete 7-year punishment.
Wow.
I'm Trevor. I'm good. I don't have to go anywhere. So if you can keep them coming.
No, well, that's so now I'm just dumbfounded by that. So okay, that's it for the questions. Now everybody's just making statements that aren't really directed into anything. So I'll tell y'all this. This is what I'll say. Maria G, peace of Maria G, another supporter of the Straight Talk Society. She's here for everything we do. Maria G says 80% of evangelicals believe that the creation of Israel in 1948 was the fulfillment of biblical prophecy. What say you guys to that?
Could I say something to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Ahab had 400 prophets that was lying, and it was only one of them right. So you gonna believe the 400, or you gonna believe the one that's right?
There you go.
None of that is true.
All right.
Jansen no, because no, I'm not. I don't open my panel to people to come up here and just get in arguments. You know that. I don't do that. So I'll say this. Oh, there was a see, now they're just flying in now. Hold on, because now everything's moving so quick. Patrick T says Israel went back to Egypt in slavery in AD 70. Anybody got anything on that?
The destruction of Jerusalem took place in AD 70 when the Romans came and destroyed Jerusalem, just like Jesus predicted in Matthew chapter 24. So that took place in AD 70, the destruction of Jerusalem.
Go ahead, Eddie, because I know you wanted to say something on it.
I ain't got nothing to say to it.
Eddie, Patricia is asking for your what is she asking? Can you share your congregation, please? That's to Eddie.
I really usually don't like to, but I attend the Israel of God. And I just want to say this before I finish that. Anytime I debate or teach, I am not representing the Israel God. This is just something that I chose to do on my own. I am just a member of the Israel God, and that is it. So I just wanted to make that. I just want to make that clear.
All right, duly noted. So, all right, fellas. Jansen. Okay, so here's the deal. Stacey, I know you don't have a presence on YouTube, but I'm almost certain there's going to be a video made tomorrow rebutting what you said. Because Jansen's going to make a video. I'm gonna just put Jansen is my friend, so I'm gonna
how about you set some? I understand Jansen's very vocal. How about you bring Jansen on? We don't have to get into any discussion, but let's set up a debate.
Jansen's not going to debate you. Jansen just want to come up here and talk. All right, so let's do this because I don't want to hold Eddie. So hold on. Wayne is saying, Stacey, can you explain Zechariah 6:11-12?
I have to look at that, but go ahead with the Jansen thing while I look at that.
And oh man, see now the questions like they're just coming in. Well, you guys will give that in your closing because Stacey, people are asking what's your info, your congregation. Maria G asked what denomination do Stacey and Eddie fall under. So Eddie already told you, and Stacey is from.
Well, I don't have. It's not a denomination. We are non-denominable. We are non-denominable. Whatever the word denominable. No denomination. Just we are just Bible Christians. We believe in what the Bible says. That's it. So I guess Bible Christian, I guess, is the denomination.
There you have it. So all right. I'm a well, all right, Eddie. I don't know if you want to stick around for Jansen to come up.
I'm cool.
All right, Jansen, I'm gonna let you up here. I'm gonna let you up here for a short time. So don't come up here with the craziness.
We can handle them.
He coming up here for you. He's not coming up here.
That's fine. That's fine. Let him in.
So Jansen only. The link is in the chat for Jansen only, unless Blood of Judah. The only other person I'll let come up here is Blood of Judah if she wants to come up here and question Stacey. But this is strictly for Jansen. The link is in the chat because you guys know I don't like to drop the link during the debates because I don't like it to get chaotic. This was a great debate, and I don't want it to go south now. So Jansen, the link is in the chat for like a minute. So go ahead and hit it and come on in. But fellas, I will say this before Jansen comes on. You guys know, some of you guys know that I was going to stop doing this. Because when I tell you, I let you guys know in the background how many text messages I get on a daily basis from all these numbers telling me I shouldn't be having debates on my channel and blah, 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 and lying on people and trying to fake like they're other people and this and that. It just got annoying to where I was like, you know what? I don't need to do this anymore. There's no sweat off my back. But when I watch a debate like this, it just lets me know that like this is needed and nobody's going to run me away. Nobody was ever going to run me off of YouTube. I was just I just was going to end this portion of what I do just because I can't deal with all the I can't deal with the harassment. So here's the thing with me. If people harass me, I need them to be able to be in my eyesight. I can't deal with like people that harass me and I can't touch them. That's how I feel. So that's why it was just getting really, really annoying. But after I watch a debate like this, I'm like, man, this was tremendous. And I feel like the people got so much out of this, and the decorum and the discipline that you two show. I need to let everybody know that if you are going to have a debate on this platform, it needs to be like this. It needs to be like this. Like people could actually hear you, not yelling over one another. Nobody, outside of one or two people, nobody's doing that tribalistic thing, calling people stupid just because they don't believe in what they teach. Like that's ridiculous. We're all adults over here. So I I want to applaud both of you guys, and I appreciate you guys. You know, Stacey, you already know how I feel about you. Eddie, you know all the respect that I have for you. We're definitely keeping this going in 2024, and we do. I think the first debate set up so far for 2024 will be Stacey versus Wayne, unless Jansen is coming up here to give me some good news that he's finally ready to get back in the ring. You're probably not going to, though. What's up, Jansen?
What's up? What's up? All right. Hello, Stacey, Eddie. That
What's
was an
going on, bro?
excellent debate. But I gotta ask a question. No, I don't want to ask a question. What I would like for you to do, Stacey, explain that one day, and we can have an open discussion. Because sometimes debating things get lost in translation, and we can't ask questions. Because I want to know. We gonna sit in the sky. I mean, he gonna meet him in the sky. Then what happens after that? You know, you ain't got to talk about it now if you don't want to. That's fine. We'll wait. I'd like to have open discussion on my panel or his panel. It don't matter. I just want to pick your brain. You know what I'm saying? Hello?
Yeah.
Real quick, Stacey, before you say something, see, Jansen just invited you to his show, and I have zero problem with that because I got no contract on anybody over here. I don't care.
Either way, it could be. He could be on your show. He can pick a day. Yeah, I'd like to know soon. Not a debate. Just having a conversation. Us, Trevor can come on the show. We just all talking. Me, Eddie, whoever you want to bring. Because I'm really curious about he meeting them in the sky and what happens next. Because of what I'm reading, he's coming down to Earth for the War Armageddon. That's what I'm reading.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
the War Armageddon. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that. Well, Trevor, what we can do, if that's okay with you, let's have that discussion on your platform. We can bring Jansen and whoever else you feel would like to be in that discussion. But I do want it to be controlled.
Sure.
I had rather debate because it's controlled. It's controlled. I mean, and you can get your point across without any interruption. So
he can mute us.
Okay,
when you talking, we mute it. Fine. I won't say nothing.
Yeah,
I promise you.
I would really like to do that. I think it's necessary, and it's
this is necessary. And I want you to ask me I want you to ask 20 questions before we get off there.
Okay, and I feel the same for you. You do the same with me. I appreciate that.
I'm serious about that because just like I'm astounded, like Trevor, like what?
Yeah,
but you ain't the first one I heard say that.
Okay.
Blood of Judah. I don't believe that, Blood of Judah. I'm sorry. Stacey whooped Tazariak and Katazar real good. But
Blood of Judah, what you have against me, girl? what you got against me? Why you hating on Stacey Mobley like that?
What you debating them about? What you debating them about?
Oh man.
Oh my goodness. I had a couple debates with them. I don't remember exactly what it was.
Yeah, he had a couple debates.
But
so
they won't engage me anymore. I'll let that speak for itself.
So let's do this. Wayne and Stacey's debate is on the 25th. So as of right now, I know Peter Cox and Reggie have been batting some things around, and I know Dunbar wants to debate Reggie, but until it's set in stone, I have any Thursday before the 25th available.
December?
In January. No, December's done.
Okay.
We're done. Yeah, we're done.
We can make it 1 hour. That's it. You ain't go no 2-3 hours. 1 hour tops. We done.
Jansen, now you know that ain't gonna happen with you.
I mean, I'm just telling you. Yeah. What you think, Eddie?
Hey, that's fine with me. I'm cool with it.
Yeah. So, now
I got January. So I got January 11th, 18th. So I got the 11th and the 18th of January free right now.
We'll take the 11th. If you can do it, Stacey. And it's my brother's birthdays. That's 3 of them. Oh wow. This is more important.
I can do the 11th.
Now, Stacey, remember you got Wayne in 2 weeks after that. So
that's fine. Everything is already.
Those your heavy hitters. They can handle anything.
Stacey's the hitter over here, but I don't know, man. Eddie, Man.
Well, listen, it's not a debate. It's a conversation. I mean, debates. That was a great debate. You brought yours, Eddie brought his. I'm not gonna make no decision right now. I ain't here for that. I'm here to find out one thing about this, and I want to talk about it. Really,
I'm sorry,
I can-
y'all. I'm
what do
sorry,
you got?
y'all. I'm laughing at Maria's comment. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah,
Oh,
I because she looking at my belt. So what do you what do you guys specifically want to have a conversation about?
1,000-year reign.
the 1,000-year reign. Yeah, being.
So,
Yeah. He
what,
said it not. He said it's not gonna happen. Is that what you're saying, Stacey?
It's no such thing.
Okay. And we're gonna show that it is such thing. That's what it's
Right.
gonna be. That's
Right.
fair enough.
Yeah.
so if I said something like if because you know I'm going to get working on this on the weekend. If I said something like is the 1,000-year reign real? Would y'all what would
Is
that
it
work?
is it real and is it on Earth? I want to clarify that. I like to throw that Earth on there because some people thinking it's in the sky. I know somebody teaches that. They teach this in the sky, the 1,000 years. He's teaching that it ain't. So I want to cover all bases. Is it real and is it on Earth?
And now I just got a message from Reggie.
Oh, Reggie, I already handled Reggie with that.
who you trying to get?
Nah, he just reminded me that he debated Jansen.
Yeah.
One of the first debates I had on this channel was Reggie and
Yeah.
Jansen on that.
Yeah, he never proved that Jesus wasn't returning. But I guess Stacey gonna show it. But we're not debating. He gonna bring up some good points, right, Stacey?
I would hope so.
He gonna have some excellent points in. So once he show his points are gonna cover for Reggie automatically. It's gonna back up Reggie points.
Let me write this down so I could go ahead and close out. So all right. So what we want to title this? So we're gonna do it January 11th.
Yeah.
January 11th. What time? 6 is good.
That's good. It's good for y'all. Yeah.
It's good for me.
Stacey, you're what, 3 hours behind East Coast?
I'm 2 hours
me.
behind.
Oh, okay. And you're good, Eddie.
And tell my brother Reggie he can come on too.
Sure, let him come on. Yeah, of course. It's for everybody.
You hear that, Reggie? Because Stacey gonna need some backup because you know they're gonna gang up.
Oh, Stacey don't need no backup.
Yeah,
We doing a tag team match?
You sure are. No, we just gonna have a conversation. I want to know about the.
That's what I said. We doing a
talk
tag
about
team match?
Yeah, somewhat. I hear people talk about this all the time, but I never get a chance to ask them.
All right,
I want to know.
So give me this wording again, because you know I'm gonna get started on this this weekend. So we're gonna be asking, is the 1,000-year, because Stacey says the 1,000-year reign is made up.
Okay, is it false? How do you want to put it, Stacey?
Let me give you my specifics. Okay. Here's my specific. Jesus is not coming back to reign on earth for 1,000 years in the city of Jerusalem to sit on David's throne. David's literal throne. That is not going to happen.
Okay. And I'm saying it is.
Right.
And he will show that he's not, and I'm gonna show that it is. That's just that simple. We're not conversation, okay?
There it is.
There you go. All right, it's set in stone, Reggie. I know you, if you're still listening, you more than welcome. And Michelle is saying, hold on, what is Michelle saying? Michelle is saying, Trevor, in that debate, so it's going to be a discussion. Have more than Hebrew Israelites with Stacey. Have another denomination. Hey, listen, everybody's welcome. That's the thing. And listen, if you guys haven't noticed about me, I don't care what organization you affiliated with. Everybody's welcome over here. All I just say is don't be disrespectful to me. That's all I say. That's my only thing. So,
and Trevor, am I going to still do that presentation about the denominations? I thought I saw something about that in the chat.
I'm waiting for Jackie, but I mean Jackie's not getting back with me. So I mean,
hey Michelle, we all Hebrew Israelites. Make your daddy white.
Somebody gonna have to do it because I think it was Michelle is the one who asked for it, so somebody gonna have to do it. I always like to please my my listeners. So Blood of Judah says shaking my head, so somebody got her upset. So all right, well, So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna set it up for January 11th at 6 p.m. I'm gonna get working on that. So all right, Jansen, I'm gonna and I know you're gonna make a video tomorrow, Jansen. So y'all be sure to subscribe to Jansen Williams YouTube channel. He likes the
Yeah, we might get together, me, Eddie, and Duran, get something to talk about this debate. You
I
know,
know you. Trust me. I know you are. I give y'all all permission to play this video. I
don't know how to do all
permission.
that stuff. I ain't doing all that, putting all them cuts in there. He know what he said. I know what Eddie said. Trust me, that is not going to happen with me. I'm too old to be doing that.
So y'all make sure and subscribe to Jansen Williams channel. So all right, Jansen, I'm gonna kick you off, man. So these
all
guys
right, see y'all later. Good night, brothers.
All right, peace.
Good night, Pete.
See you later, Reggie.
Yeah, man. Jansen, my buddy, man. Jansen joined a couple of my Man Talk Monday shows, and the people loved him because everything we brought up, he made it biblical, and it was good. Look at that. The best moderator in the business. Keela done already put Jansen's YouTube channel in the chat. So make sure and click that link and subscribe to Jansen Williams YouTube channel. Him and Duran, I think Duran put up like two teachings over the past few weeks. So y'all make sure and check that out. I think I challenged Duran on something. He never responded back to me though, but it's all good. But yeah, these guys trying to get me to come out of retirement so bad, but I'm not gonna do it. So again, fellas, fantastic debate, and it didn't even take as long as I thought. I thought it was going to be long because of the extra time, but I appreciate you guys. All right, Blood of Judah, peace. Thanks for coming by. I appreciate you guys so much for doing this, man, because you are why I do this, because it's just, you know, the people got to get the word. They got to get the word some type of way. I don't know how you can have the word of God and you don't want to spread it to everybody. You want to just keep it in your little bubble. That's foolishness. So yeah, so we're good. So who started the debate? Stacey started. So Stacey, go on and give us your closeout, and then I'm gonna have Eddie close out, and then we're gonna shut the show down.
Okay, well, just want to thank Trevor again for allowing us to come on this platform to discuss our convictions. I appreciate we did it in an honorable way and a respectful way. I want to thank Eddie for bringing what he believes is the truth and the things that, you know, he's defending. I believe it was a very good discussion. I wanted to pinpoint some things and nail down some things because I've been wanting to have this kind of discussion where we are able to have the give and take of exchange with the Hebrew Israelites, and I'm glad we were able to do that tonight. I hope that I was able to at least bring some kind of clarity to the things that I believe in and the things that I presented. I would ask that everyone would go back and revisit the debate and examine my arguments and listen to the things that I said and weigh them in light of Deuteronomy 28 and Deuteronomy 28:68. Let's continue to study. Let's continue to grow. Let's continue to be respectful to one another, and let's continue to contend for the faith. I appreciate it.
Excellent. You know, I'll get up with you sometime within a week or so. But we'll definitely come up with a time to do that. The presentation where you want to break this down fully. So, you know, you get your 2-hour window to bring all your info so you could get people even more upset with you.
Okay.
And don't forget the poll. I forgot to mention the poll. The poll will be up within like 5 to 10 minutes after this debate. Please go to the main page of the channel and hit the community tab, and you will see the poll up on the channel. And again, it's something that they wanted me to start doing, and I like doing it. Is just who you think had the better argument tonight between Stacey and Eddie. So Eddie, go and give us your closeout so we could get so we can shut this thing down.
First of all, I want to thank God first and foremost for allowing me to be here tonight. And then secondly, I want to thank you, Trevor, for your time and for your patience, because I know sometimes it could probably be a sacrifice for you. And you go all these long hours, you do all these shows in the week, and I do appreciate that. And also I appreciate you for giving me a place to talk when a lot of people don't want to hear from the young guy. And I really do appreciate you for seeing something in me and bringing me on, and like I said, just giving me a chance to express not necessarily what I have on my heart, but what I've learned and what I've been taught. So I appreciate that. Third, I want to say I appreciate my opponent. I appreciate you, Stacey, for staying cordial throughout the debate, regardless of if we disagree. We're not enemies. I don't see you as my enemy. I don't see you as my adversary. We just disagree on the word. So I appreciate that. You are a brother to me, and I want you to know that. I appreciate all our discussions we've had up to this point. And I appreciate your patience because I know I had to reschedule. So I appreciate your patience on that as well. Both of y'all patience, as a matter of fact. Now on the debate, I feel like I did enough to prove that the curses are there, and I feel like I did enough to prove that that Deuteronomy 28:68 was fulfilled during the transatlantic slave trade. What I would suggest is like just go and weigh the facts. If the facts don't match, then I would like to know who the people actually are, because the people have to be somebody, and I feel like I proved that tonight. So I will go back and look at my arguments versus his arguments, and I would just see who brought the better argument and whose facts are facts and whose facts aren't facts. So with that being said, I appreciate all y'all time tonight. I appreciate all y'all coming out. And like I said, I know this was a kind of long debate, but it was worth it, and I appreciate that. Sometimes when you learn, you gotta take time to learn. So I appreciate that. And I just want to say to everybody, y'all have a good night, and peace to y'all.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I appreciate both of you brothers for real. Just so everybody know, I'm not answering anything until probably the weekend. I'm tired. I gotta go spend the rest of the night with my daughter before she goes to bed. So I'll answer any questions over the weekend. But again, to both of you guys, hey, fantastic, man. Fantastic. Hey, this set of Patricia's asking Stacey to give his congregation. She keep throwing that in there.
The Church of Christ, Colorado Springs. Let's see. We can be reached at what is? Let's see. No, to the website. What's the website?
www.churchofchristcoloradosprings.org.
www.churchofchristcoloradosprings.org. That's where we can be reached. Church of Christ Coloradosprings.org. All of our information is there.
Next time you come on, or just send it to me and I'll make up something where I can make up like a card or something so I could throw it up on the screen.
Okay,
so,
thank you, Trevor.
Yeah, so for the future, everybody have whatever info you want to have on there. But again, to everybody in the chat, appreciate you guys for coming by. Appreciate you guys for keeping it cordial. There was no craziness going on, no fighting, no name calling outside of a little bit, but fantastic. Just great job all around. And to Eddie's point, this is the last thing I'll say on this. I love this, man. You guys just don't understand. I do a bunch of different shows. Everybody knows I do a broad array of shows, but this is the one that whenever I know I got one of these coming up, I look forward to it because I love it, regardless of what anybody thinks about me. I still know that book, and I study that book, so it is what it is. So there you go. But again, fellas, appreciate you.
All right.
All right. Good night.
All right. Good night, y'all. Peace.
All right. Peace. Oh man, well, Straight Talk Society, there you have it again. Another fantastic episode of the Straight Talk Sessions Biblical Debate Series. Again, that poll will be up within like 5 to 10 minutes after I get off the show. Just an excellent debate, man. I'm gonna listen back to it tomorrow, like I always do, just to see the things that I missed. It was great. It was great. And it didn't take long. It didn't take long like I thought it would. Just fantastic. And again, just so everyone knows, next week, December 21st, I will be interviewing Peter Cox at 6 p.m. Peter Cox is going to come and get on the hot seat so I could just question them, just so we can find out who the man is behind the debating machine on YouTube. So that is on the 21st. And then January 25th, we do have the debate with Stacey Mobley and Wayne Smith. I did remake the flyer while we were here. So the topic of that debate is baptism for the forgiveness of sins. And that is January 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern. And on that one, per request of Wayne Smith, I will be opening the panel to let people come on. I'm kind of hesitant about that, but I will be opening the panel to let people come on to ask one question. So that is January 25th at 7 p.m. And like I said, next week, I will be interviewing Peter Cox, one-on-one, Mr. Straight Talking Peter Cox. Oh, that should be so fun. But I see the clock on the wall and it's telling me that I got to get out of here. Let me see what this comment's saying. I don't know what that means. Now Adrian just threw me off. I don't know what he's talking about. Yeah. So anyway, I got to get out of here and go spend some time with my family, man. If I don't talk to you guys, enjoy your holidays. If you celebrate, spend time with your family, all that good stuff. Try being nice to somebody. It's so much easier than just being mean to people and nasty all the time. So with all that being said, I leave you with these words. Always seek out the truth for yourself, because if not, you'll fall victim to other people's interpretations of them. Until next week, peace.
Cannot sleep at night when I do more wrong than right. I truly know that only God understands. When I'd rather be at home, when I'd rather be alone. I truly know that only God understands. When my heart is feeling cold and I feel it in my soul. I truly know that only God understands. When I'm feeling so depressed and I'm dealing with distress, I truly know that only God understands. While I'm yelling and rebelling, look, I ain't gotta tell him. I truly know that only God understands. When I do it by myself, I don't need nobody help. I truly know that only God understands. When it's hard for me to smile, and I haven't in a while, I truly know that only God understands. When it's hard for me to laugh, I ain't even gotta ask. I truly know that only God understands.
there you have it again. Another banger from yours truly, Mr. Straight Talk. Always seek out the truth for yourself, because if not, you'll fall victim to other people's interpretations of them.